this is this is the building that I'm staying in. I believe there are 4 of these trailers out here, and each of them has, a couple rooms. You could also stay in an RV if you wanted to do it that way, and I think sometimes a year you could even stay in a tent, possibly for like $5, which is kind of an interesting possibility. So this front door to the mobile home seems to just be kind of a unlocked general entrance. And what you have in here then is kind of like a common area. So all the stuff that you need for a kitchen, including a stove and a microwave, and you've got a fridge. So as long as you trust the people that you're sharing this building with, you're good as far as that goes. And then this is another common area with a TV and some sitting spots. They have these little pictures all over the walls that tell you about different UFO sightings in different places around the world. So you see that in these mobile homes. And then I'm going to show you the room that I've actually rented to stay in, which is room number 23. And I'll turn the AC off so that you can hear me better. Not a whole lot to say about the room. It's small and there's just not much to it. And then the other thing is that there's a shared bathroom. So that's in here, and you're sharing the bathroom with the people next door. And it's not too bad of a bathroom, really. The lady, when she kind of checked me in, if you could call it that, she got kind of stern with me, because I think maybe she thought I was going to complain about the bathroom situation. And since I've spent plenty of time in Europe, sharing bathrooms and other stuff, it's just that kind of thing doesn't bother me. But I think she kind of was like preparing herself for a complaint, and you have to share a bathroom, and hey, no big deal to me. So maybe I'll take this time to tell you a little about an experience that I had since we're in UFO country. An experience that I had with a UFO. It's the only one in my life that I have ever encountered, and I'm struggling with this. Okay, so here's what happened. It was 2016. I was living in the van, and I was driving all over the country, visiting all kinds of different cities and towns, and I happened to be driving on Interstate 8. And that kind of runs between, let's say, Yuma, Arizona and San Diego. And there was no clouds in the sky. It was perfectly clear, broad daylight, very sunny. And it was about 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning. And here I am, I'm driving along. Sometimes back then I had to entertain myself. I didn't have much human contact, living all alone in the van and always bouncing around from various towns. And so I had to entertain myself as I'm driving along, and a lot of times I just talk to myself or, make up something funny that I would say. So maybe I was like doing, my Richard Nixon voice or something like that, I'm driving along. And up in the right-hand corner of the windshield, something caught my attention. It was probably kind of like a flash of light kind of thing. And the van has a really big windshield. It's very tall, so you can see a lot of the sky, and you can really get a good view of what's out in front of you. So this thing caught my attention, and then a couple seconds later I could clearly actually see it. I could see the form of it, and it moved in a straight line across the top of the windshield. And then the last part of it, I kind of looked through the driver's side windshield to try to catch a couple more seconds of it as it moved off. Okay, so first of all, how far away was this thing? I would say when I first could see a defined object, it was probably 150 yards away. It was to some extent moving towards me as it moved across the windshield, to the point that when it passed the left-hand side of the windshield, it was probably more like 75 yards away. And again, it was moving in a straight line, and I looked like that at the last part of it. And as far as the size of it, it was the size of a small airplane, but it was not an airplane at all. I mean, it clearly was not. But just to give you some idea of size, it wasn't huge, it wasn't tiny. So what did it look like? It was, without a doubt, it looked metallic. It was a light metallic color that reflected sunlight. It had facets all over it. So, it just had these angles of metal that were all over this object, sort of like a diamond when you cut a diamond, except these didn't appear to be in any kind of logical pattern, right? They were just sort of facets that appeared to be random around this object. It wasn't a perfect ball. It was a little bit oblong. So it had a roundness to it, but it was a little bit oblong, not quite like a football, but similar to that. And the thing that struck me the most, I think, were the facets and the light reflecting, but also it appeared to be, at first it seemed to be tumbling through the air. So my first impression of it was that somehow it was tumbling like this as it moved across the sky, right? That it was doing one of these deals, except, and the reason I thought that it was because the facets kept on presenting different flashes of light as it moved. But I don't actually think it was really tumbling because of the fact that it was a little oblong. If it was tumbling, I should have actually been able to see the object like that, where it would be tumbling. This object moved like this. It went like that. But the surface of it gave the impression of it tumbling through the air. So I sort of came to the conclusion that it must have been like the outside surface was sort of morphing itself, so that these facets that it had were sort of changing as it passed through the space that I saw it in. And that was really weird because it was, I kind of came to this conclusion that, the outside surface seems to be changing, and it's reflecting light in different ways as it moves and changes. How long did I see it for? Well, let me sort of just act it out to you, right? Basically, it goes from me first noticing the object kind of up here to me being able to clearly make it out as, whoa, that's weird, and I can clearly see it, to it passing so far that I had to turn into the side window of the van to be able to catch a glimpse of it after it had gone in that direction. And again, it's going straight, it's coming a little bit, to some extent, towards me, and it's going across the windshield like so. So here's about how long it took, right? Oh, that's interesting, huh? Oh. Like that. I couldn't look very long in the side window because I'm driving down Interstate 8 at 75, 80 miles an hour, and so I have to pay attention to my driving. So I couldn't keep following it very long in the side window, but it was something like that period of time, right? To, oh, I see something, oh, look at that. And then a couple of seconds in the side window. And I clearly saw it. It was not an airplane, it was not a helicopter, there's just no way. The closest thing it might resemble would be like a balloon. However, it couldn't be a balloon because, number one, it's traveling way too fast for a balloon. This thing was moving pretty good. It wasn't like moving at light speed, but it was moving way, way, way faster than a balloon could ever move. And it was also moving too slow to be like a meteor or some kind of space rock, which would be the other thing that you might think of. It sort of looks like that, maybe, but way, way too slow. I mean, a meteor or any kind of object from space would just be like this flash, right? So I clearly observed this thing move across the windshield and even saw it a little bit in the side, from the side window. So the speeds were too fast and too slow for me to be able to explain it as a balloon or as any kind of space rock. And I had to come to, this conclusion that this is the one thing in my life that I've clearly seen, and I will never be able to explain it. It would have to be either extraterrestrial or something that the government has that is so beyond anything else that the normal public typically sees, that it's just like way, way, way beyond, what we normally experience. One of those two things is it has to be. So anyway, that was my UFO, one and only UFO experience. I was not abducted. I was not probed. I just saw this thing, and I saw it clearly, and I saw it for enough time to know what I saw. So if you've seen anything like that, similar, or if you've seen any objects in the area that I was driving in, so this was on I-8, Interstate 8, and it's right where it dips right along the Mexican border. So between Yuma and San Diego, you've got Interstate 8, and it goes, at a point it goes down and it goes right along the Mexican border. That's right where I saw this object. So it's kind of interesting that it was so close to the border with Mexico as well. Anyway, this room that I'm in is it's room 2-3, and they've told me that it's haunted. I don't know of all that many haunted mobile homes, but I'm sure that's possible. I just want to say in closing that if there's any kind of being or presence that calls this particular room home, I think we're going to get along just fine. I really am. I'm very easy to get along with. I'm very low maintenance, and I'm the kind of person who, like, hey, if you do your thing, I do my thing. We're gonna get along fine as long as we're not, getting too into each other's things. Hey, no big deal, right? So I just want to put that out there in case there is anything here, that I think everything is gonna be just fine tonight. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you like it, feel free to subscribe or give me a comment, right? If you've seen something that sounds like what I described or where I described. All right, so until next time, goodbye.